Pete, thank you very much for sitting down with us. First off, how good does it feel to be back at the club?
Brilliant to be back. When the opportunity came around, it was, excited me. I was here for 5 years before. It feels a very different kind of feel to what it did back then in terms of the ambitions of the club and the new training ground and things like that. So it's got a different feel about it, but the values at this club will always be the same. I witnessed them when I was back here. I started off in a scouting role and then went into a head of analysis role and then grew into a bit of coaching from there after COVID. And part of when I was here, I was trying to understand, club culture and what actually engages the fans and what, makes them excited. And there was times when I was here before when I wasn't working match days when I'd probably go and sit with the away fans. I've sat in the away end at a Birmingham derby and been to Villa Park in the Blues end, and it's really interesting to know the core values of this club, the hard work, and they want to see an intensity and a commitment to tackle and everything. So great to be back, and now it's a chance to be able to kind of deliver those values to the supporters and see if we can get this club moving. And after quite a few years of where we've been, to try and get this club moving and get back to where we belong. So delighted to be back, and the challenge ahead's big, but one that we all really excited about.
You've worked with the gaffer for a number of years now. What's it been like to get to know him and to work with him in teams?
Yeah, no, this is our third club together, and obviously I hold him in the highest regard. We all know what a great player he was, but I also think that that as a manager he's going to be very, very successsul. I'd always thought that we had difficulties in our first two jobs in terms of at Derby County with the administration, and how he dealt with that is he united the whole club, even though we were going through a period where we didn't know if we were getting paid, we didn't know if the club was going to go bust at the end of the year. It was still a really happy place to go to, and the players enjoyed it and were playing some good football. And although the points deduction eventually overcame us, before that we'd got a team who was playing in our identity and doing really well with the restrictions we was under. And then when he asked me to follow him out to America, it was a great experience out there, a really, underrated league in the MLS, a very technical league. And again, initially it took us a little bit of a while to get the players in to enforce the football we wanted to play. But when we did last season, we had some good joy out there, some really good results, and although we eventually just missed out on the playoffs, it was a big improvement. We got the club going in the right direction. So yeah, it's great to be with him, third club. I think he's got all the potential to be a really, really, top coach. He's got an instinct and an intuition about the game that I've not really witnessed before with other people I've worked with. And himself and all the other coaches, we're here to get our style of play on this team and make it exciting for people to watch and go forward.
Of course, it's been a difficult few games here so far. What have you made of the performances, and are there still positives you can take from those games?
Yeah, there's always positives. I mean, we knew, looking at the fixture list, the first 5 in this international, between the 2 international breaks, that are tough games against teams who are established. They've already had coaches in place for for a period of time. They're used to taking the ball and having possession. So we knew it was going to be a tough 5 games. But that's a challenge that we took on, and we knew we had to try and get something from these games. Now, yeah, there's been positives. We've tried to implement a new style on the group. Want to be a possession-based team. That's how we believe you get promoted out this league, by being able to take the ball and dominate other teams. And if you look at the teams who are gravitating towards the top of the league right now, they're all that kind of team. So we've got that belief that we can get Birmingham City playing in that way, and eventually be a team who people fear to come and work out how they're going to get the ball off us, and we can control games and obviously then win games of football through that style of play. So yeah, a few positives in some of them. We had to go back a little bit in the last game and be a little bit more of a mid-block, and because we knew Southampton were really well established and coming out of the Premier League on how they played, so we had to probably go not press quite as high and be a bit more compact, and for periods of the game that worked well, although albeit we lost in the end. So yeah, always positives. We're always learning about the group as we go along. We're learning which players are really accomplished with what we want to try and do, which players need a little bit more development, and we just keep looking to improve every game and get this right here.
You mentioned changing the tactics and changing the mindset of the team. Is it a case of being patient and working hard before you can really reap the rewards of that?
Absolutely. As a coaching staff, when you come into a group and you're trying to change the style of play, it's not going to happen overnight. They were quite embedded in what they were doing before. We're coming in and asking them to, you know, play from the back, you know, take the ball, you know, play in tight areas. A lot of things that, you know, are a little bit different to what they've been doing, which, you know, so yeah, it's going to take time. Of course it is. It's getting them to believe in they can do what we're asking them to do. It's getting them to believe that this can be a successful way of playing. And then when we do that, they'll grow. You know, they'll grow in confidence. And we've been through these stages before. Like we had this stage when we went into Derby, and you know, some of the players there were not accustomed to playing in the way that the gaffer wanted them to play. And eventually, you know, we got them there. And like I say, some of the football that we played that year, and even outplaying the top teams, your Bournemouths and Fulhams that year, you know, we showed that we got it there. So yeah, a little bit of patience, you know, needed. Hopefully, you know, very soon they'll see the style we're trying to implement. And when we talk about style, we don't just want to be a team who just pass the ball aimlessly. We know, going back to what I said previously about the values of the supporters, that, you know, they want to, you know, they need commitment, they need tackle, they need hard work. Well, if you think what the manager was like as a player, that embedded his career. So he's always going to demand that from the players. And then when we play, we want to play with a purpose, we want to play with intensity, we want to attack, you know, we want loads of attacks, we want to play in their half, you know, we want the fans to be excited that we're attacking the opposition goal, and we know that'll engage them. We just need a little bit of patience to get there, but we promise that we will get there.
And finally, do you feel like this is a really exciting time to be back at the club, especially with all the improvements both off and on the pitch? Absolutely.
Like the new training ground that we sat in now is really good. The stadium's had a lot of developments. You know, the seating in the stadium's coming back after, I know, a period of disappointment that wasn't the case. It felt like when I was here before, there was quite a lot of years where we were treading water, where staying in the league was probably, you know, the most we could have hoped for each season. It was quite difficult, and the people who've been here that long will know that. It seems coming back that this has now got an ambition. You know, the new owners have got a big ambition. The new CEO, sporting director, they've got ambitions to get this club in the Premier League. And we know, you know, Birmingham have been there before. We know it's a huge club that can get there again and go and hold its own in the Premier League. And luckily, we've been given that role to try and deliver that. And it's an excitement. It's a challenge, but it's an exciting challenge. And we know when we deliver that, we know there'll be a lot of happy people here, and we can keep this club moving forward and take it back to where it should be.
Pete, thank you very much.
Thank you.